Welcome to this week's astrology. Well, when I say this week, I mean for the week of September 24th through 30th. Let me tell you a little story. I want to own my authenticity right here and right now. You can find the channel Owning Authenticity under my astrology channels on the homepage, my YouTube channel. I have tried to film this video 2 times already, and both attempts did not work. So, third time's the charm. I'm not going to redo it this time. This is going to be the final video. And so that's just what I want to say. I really don't like to redo things, but I filmed the 2 videos, which are actually up on my channel because I publish every video that I create. But I filmed those videos, I slept, and then here I am again to film the official video for this week's astrology. Now, a couple of announcements that I do want to throw out into the ethers here is that I am currently doing a series on my YouTube channel where I am taking you through Saturn, which is the planet of discipline, structures, healthy boundaries, restrictions, maturity, self-control, and hard work. So I'm filming videos on Saturn through each of the 12 signs. I've already filmed a video on the meaning of Saturn in astrology, where I delve very deeply into the themes that I just listed and more themes concerning the qualities of Saturn. And I also filmed the first placement with Saturn in the sign of Aries, which is about having the courage and confidence in yourself to know that you can get what you want and you can have the life that you want, and really becoming motivated to initiate and chase your desires, basically. So I have that video out on my channel. I will continue doing the videos on Saturn through the signs throughout the coming weeks. So if you have Saturn in Scorpio or Virgo, then those videos will be coming out from one week to the next. At the end of this video, I may pull an oracle card or two live time, because I can talk about the astrology. I can talk about what is going on astrologically, but there's so many things to remember, and there's so much to keep in mind, and so much to have to apply when it comes to astrology-based information. And so when it comes to the astrology, I've seen several astrologers go on a market bullet point listing where they are saying, do this and keep this in mind. And it's so much to remember. And sometimes the only way that I feel that I can get value from those videos is by actually doing what they are telling me to do. But I'm going to be doing the oracle card reading at the end to add another layer of spiritual meaning and spiritual wisdom and insight to all the information that I'm going to be giving. I'm not going to be doing an oracle card for every single astrological event, but the oracle card reading gives you something to think about, gives you something to walk away with, of how you should approach all of this astrological information that I am going to be giving. And I'm going to be using an oracle card deck from Call It Baron Reed, who is a spiritual teacher, a co-founder or the founder of Oracle School, and author of several books, including The Map and Uncharted and Remembering the Future. She's an author of several oracle decks, including Spirit Animal, The Enchanted Map, and Wisdom of the Oracle. She is also a singer, spiritual teacher, thought leader, and medium, intuitive medium. So that's just a little biography of her, just a summary of who she is, and I'm going to be using one of her decks at the end of this video. Now, the other announcement that I just want to make very, very clear is I am going to be putting on an autumn equinox celebration tomorrow at September 24th. And I forget the time exactly, and I have to go look. But I'll be sure to put that link in the description below so that you can turn on your notification bell for this YouTube live event. I'm going to be talking about the spiritual, astronomical, and astrological significations and meaning of the autumn equinox, as well as doing an oracle reading for what we should all remember and keep in mind and how we should approach the autumn equinox, as well as doing a meditation or two. I'm very, very excited for this event, and I'm very excited to see you there, and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you get notified on when I will go live so that you can be part of this event. So, without further ado, let us jump into this week's astrology. We begin on Sunday, which is the day of the sun, the day of rest, the day where you shine your generosity and shine your warmth and light and really be who you are. We begin Sunday with a sextile from Venus to Mars. Venus and Mars. These two planets are considered very relational. Talk about a feminine planet and a masculine planet. So Venus is a feminine planet. Venus rules what you love, what you find pleasurable, what you find enjoyable, the kind of relationships that are most valuable and attractive to you, and how you show up in that relationship. And what do you want to get out of relationships? What kind of relationships, define who you are? So, what do you look for in a given relationship? It's all related to Venus. And it also rules what your values are, and your inner sense of valuing yourself. If someone has a strong Venus in their natal chart, they have a very strong sense of self-worth. Now, Mars is the red planet. It is a masculine energy, which is about drive, stamina, motivation. It deals with you standing up for yourself and asserting yourself. It's also the planet of war. So Venus wants to harmonize, and it wants to, peace and love and harmony, and it wants to bring people together. Mars is a war planet, and it seeks to separate. It's me against you. It is me fighting for what I want and what I desire in this life. And it's really the drive that you have and the reason for getting out of bed in the morning and having the activation energy to move through your life. And the activation energy is what Mel Robbins talks a lot about. And Mars rules Aries, and so she has the Moon, Saturn, and North Node in the sign of Aries. And so she really talks about, the 5-second rule and how to move your life in a positive direction and do what you want to do even when you don't feel like it. So that's a little description of Mars and Venus. So when we have a sextile, the two planets are in two signs apart from each other. So sextiles occur when you have one planet in a fire sign and another planet in an air sign, and fire and air are the masculine elements. And then a sextile also occurs when you have a planet in a water sign and a planet in an earth sign. So water and earth are the feminine elements, air and fire are the masculine elements. So a sextile is when you have an opportunity that is being presented to you, but you have to be the one to actively go towards that opportunity. It's kind of like, well, you're given a tool, yes, but you have to be the one to use it. You have to be the one to actively use that tool to get what you want. So a sextile presents positive opportunities, but, with a potential for you actually acting on that energy. This particular aspect of Venus sextile Mars, although it's not exact on September 24th, its energies are still prominent. This is great energy for romance, any kind of relationship, any kind of socializing. It's great for initiating relationships, initiating conversations, and getting out there and meeting new people. It's great for, having the willingness and, to make the first move. So maybe you meet somebody new, or you go after somebody, necessarily speaking, and you're very self-confident, and you believe in yourself, and you're very self-motivated, and you are strong in your sense of self, and you want to put yourself out there, and being extroverted and being willing to share your true thoughts and feelings and open yourself up to people. And so it's very extroverted energy here. So the other thing is that Mars always seeks a quest. It always seeks an adventure. It always seeks somewhere to move forward in your life. It wants stimulation of some kind. So this is great energy to have an adventure with a partner, whatever it may be. Going to a movie, going on a hike, playing a game of chess, or watching a movie, whatever adventure that you can share with somebody else, because Venus is a relationship energy. This is great energy for that. The other thing is that it can be great for chasing your creative visions and passions. So if you have, you want to paint, or you want to write a novel or something like that, it's great for achieving what you want to achieve when it comes to what you find pleasureful, or full of pleasure in your life. And it also presents a higher appetite for pleasure of any kind, whatever that may be. It can be sex, it can be food, it can be art, whatever it may be, and a more sensual appetite, and sensory-oriented appetite. So you may want to enjoy these pleasures and have these relationships and enjoy them in a very bold and assertive, determined, and strong way, where you're really enjoying the experience of being here on this earth in this physical body, doing all these things. Now, the other way that this energy can be used is if you are smoothing over the rough edges in relationships. So, if anyone wronged you, if anyone said or did anything wrong to you, and it's hard to forgive them, it's hard to give them slack. If there was a wedge that was driven in the relationship, if there was a difficult conversation that needed to be had, or if somebody did something wrong that hurt the other person, and this is a time to draw the olive branch, make amends if you need to, and make peace, and talk it out, and come together, reaching across the aisle and forgiving the other person. And forgiving is really about you saying, I'm over it, and I'm not going to carry this burden anymore, and I'm not going to hold on to this grudge or this wound. I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to move on. That's what forgiveness is. And so this is great for coming together and opening your heart to that person who wronged you, or being willing to open your heart in the way of facing the music and apologizing to them if you're the one at fault. And, really opening up to that other person. All right, so this is an aspect of getting out there. So very extroverted energy, as I said before. Now, on September 25th, the next day, we have a trine for Mercury and Jupiter. Now, I just want you to keep in mind that this is the third of 3 trines that Mercury has made to Jupiter over the course of the whole Mercury retrograde season, which started on August 3rd when Mercury hit 8 degrees of Virgo. Mercury then moved forward and it stationed to go direct or go retrograde on August 23rd at 21 degrees of Virgo. So between August 3rd and August 23rd, it trined Jupiter once, and then from August 23rd to September 15th, there was a time when Mercury trined Jupiter again. And so when Mercury trined Jupiter during the pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde seasons, the pre-shadow meaning when Mercury was moving from the very first degree where it's going to station direct at to the degree that it's stationed retrograde at. So it's the first half of the Mercury retrograde season. So during that pre-shadow, Mercury trine Jupiter, which presented the philosophy and the spiritual understanding of life that we would discover and we would learn more about when Mercury would go retrograde. It presented the opportunity for for fun, for learning, all those kind of things like that. And then when Mercury went retrograde, it presented an opportunity for us when it trined Jupiter to go inward, to have an inner voyage, an inner journey of self-discovery, of discovering our true philosophy and our beliefs and what beliefs hinder us and what beliefs do not serve us. And we were really looking inside ourselves during that time. And then now here we are. Mercury went direct on September 15th. It's then going to trine Mercury. It's then going to trine Jupiter again. Now we can take action and actually get out into the world. We have our philosophy, we have our beliefs. Now that we can learn and we can grow and we can do all these fun things now, we can get out there now that Mercury is direct. So Mercury is trine Jupiter. So this is an aspect. We have Mercury, which is the data collector, basically. It wants to collect information from its immediate environment. Mercury is the lower mind, towards the day-to-day things that you have to think about, and the conversations that you have, and the interactions that you have, and communication. It rules over Gemini. And Jupiter is the much broader vision. We can zoom out and see life from a much broader lens, a much higher, more spiritual, more philosophical viewpoint. And so Jupiter seeks to grow, to expand. It rules higher learning. It rules having fun and making the most of this life. It rules higher wisdom. So Mercury rules knowledge, Jupiter rules wisdom. So this aspect is a great aspect for opening your mind to brand new perspectives. So, if somebody else has another perspective that is very different than yours, this is great energy for opening up to that, opening up to new ways of thinking, new information, new ideas, new philosophies of life to sort of, refine your own. So, viewing the world in new ways through learning new things that you may have not spent so much time learning. Maybe you want to learn something else. This would be great energy for learning new things. If there's something that you have on your bucket list that you want to learn, but you haven't gotten around to that, and you want to get out of rut of how you're currently engaging your mind and what you're currently learning, this is great energy for that. Now, the trine is a positive aspect between Mercury trine Jupiter. It brings out the positive, wonderful qualities of the two planets. And so learning especially about astrology and philosophy and religion and, learning about the inventions in the Dark Ages, whatever it may be. Then the other question for you to keep in mind is, are you teachable? Are you coachable? Are you humble and curious enough to learn new things? Or are you very dogmatic, and are you stubbornly fixated on your point of view, on your beliefs? What is it, basically? So are you curious, and are you open to learning new things? That's the question. And then you can also communicate from a place of wisdom and communicating philosophically. So you have your idea, you have your beliefs, and now you can share your ideas. Now you can act on what you want to act on from a place of, I've done the meditation, I've done the introspection during Mercury retrograde, I've done the reflection, and so now it is time for me to actively go out there and seek this wisdom that I want to seek. So now we have September 26th and 27th. The moon is in Pisces during these couple of days. So the moon rules over our emotions, our instincts. It rules over our intuition. It rules over our deepest and our innate emotional needs that we are. It also rules over how we need to be nourished and how we nourish over other people. So whenever the moon is in Pisces, whenever, because once a month we get this opportunity for the moon to come back around to Pisces. Now, during this moon, it is an opportunity for us to be vulnerable. To be vulnerable. To really feel all of our feelings. To sit with them. To allow them to be there. To allow them a seat at the table. So, being open to expressing our feelings and feeling our feelings and being present with those feelings inside of us. And these feelings may be your more deeper unconscious emotions, because Pisces deals with the unconscious. It deals with your blind spot because it corresponds to 12 houses in astrology. So it deals with the emotions that are hidden, that are beneath the surface of your being, of your subconscious, and your feelings on a soul level. So this is a moon, great time to lean into those emotions. This is a time of deep introspection and reflection. So it's a time to allow yourself time in the dream state. So, really being there. Really dreaming, whatever it may be, allowing yourself time to escape, allowing yourself time to replenish, to recharge your batteries, to dream, to just sit and let your mind wander. So this is also a moon where it deals a lot with connecting with your intuition, connecting with your inner guiding compass that knows where it is right to go, what is right to do at this time. It is a feeling. Your intuition is a feeling, and then we try to rationalize it and make it logically make sense in our mind. But what about actually being present with our intuition and letting our instincts guide us because our intuition is that inner, compass inside of us that is a feeling of something feels right, something feels wrong. So leaning into that is also something that you can do during this moon. And then this is also a moon where it deals with leaning into compassion, leaning into unconditional love. When we recharge and when we take care of ourselves and when we close our eyes and take a breath and meditate and get grounded and centered and in our body, and we take care of ourselves and tap into love and peace and all those things, we can be more caring and more compassionate to others during this time. And then any activity involving water. Maybe it's a sauna. Maybe it is just something sensual like getting a massage. Maybe it's taking a shower or taking a bath, whatever it is. Really getting in touch with the water element, because Pisces is a water sign. Letting the water get on your body and really, allowing it to just get in your body and really being present and enjoying the sensual experience of water on your body as it cleanses and nourishes you in the way that it does. So this moon also can make people very highly sensitive and empathetic. So you must be careful and mindful of the information that you're taking in. Does it uplift you? Does it instill fear and anxiety? Or does it bring you peace and back to center and hope? Whatever it is. Being very cognizant to the information that we're taking in and to the people that we're engaging with. Do these people bring us peace and joy and love? Or do they drain us? Or do they make us angry or mad or sad? Or just, do we feel nourished by them or not? So sensitivity to our environment, to life in general, and to the people in our world, especially with the things that they're doing and the things that they're saying, really becomes more amped up during a moon and Pisces transit. And so staying away from drugs and alcohol, is something, really, really huge with this placement. Allowing yourself to escape, but then coming back to the practical, logical reality of things. And escaping through music and dancing and art and books and those kind of things like that, but not drugs and alcohol. Alrighty, so I want to now switch gears and talk about the full moon in Aries. This full moon happens on September 29th, which is the Friday of next week. I want to make something very, very clear. So keep in mind that last spring we had a new moon in Aries at 0 degrees of Aries on March 21st. Then we had the full moon in Libra on April 5th, 6th of this year, which was my birthday time, by the way. And then we had a second new moon, which was a solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries on April 19th, 20th. Now we have the full moon in Aries now. So this full moon is not an eclipse, because the nodes of the moon, even though the north node is in Aries and south node in Libra, they're currently at 25 to 24 degrees of Aries and Libra. This full moon occurs at 6 degrees, with the sun opposing the moon in Aries and Libra. So the moon has to be at least at, the maximum length is 15 degrees away from where the north node or south node is for an eclipse to occur. And the sun has to either conjunct or oppose. It has to be either a full moon or a new moon for an eclipse to occur. So this is not an eclipse. It's not so much about the signs that the nodes are in. Just because the north node is in Aries and Libra does not mean that, every lunation is going to be an eclipse. Every lunation that occurs in Aries and Libra. And this has taken me some time to understand. So, for example, we had that new moon solar eclipse in Aries on April 19th, and the nodes were still in Taurus and Scorpio, but they were close enough away from that 29th degree eclipse in Aries, and the nodes were at 3 to 4 degrees of Aries, Taurus and Scorpio, and the nodes move retrograde. So there's going to be a partial solar eclipse on October 14th in Libra, And there's going to be a partial lunar eclipse, which is the last-ditch lunar eclipse in Taurus, which is going to be a full moon in Taurus. That's going to be on October 28th. But so this full moon occurs at 5 o'clock a.m. Central Time and 5:01 a.m. Central Time and 6:01 Eastern Standard Time. So you do want to go to a time zone converter to find out when this full moon occurs for your time zone. So this full moon occurs at 6 degrees and 1 minute of Aries and Libra. So the sun so the sun is at 6 degrees and 1 minute of Libra, and the moon is at 6 degrees and 1 minute of Aries. So you want to look to where you have 4 to 8 degrees of the cardinal signs, which are Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. If you have any personal planets or points, so this is the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, or Mars, or the midheaven or ascendant between 4 to 8 degrees of Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, this full moon is going to be extra potent and powerful and spiritually meaningful for you. And if you have planets or points in the other fire signs, which include Leo and Sagittarius from 4 to 8 degrees, this full moon is also going to be more powerful and palpable for you. So because this full moon occurs in the sign of Aries, it is going to be a more wild full moon. So it's going to be very, very important to go slowly before you leap, to look before you leap, to look before you jump off the cliff, look before crossing the street, to really think about your actions before you act on them. And what are the consequences, either positive or negative, that are going to come out of the actions that I am taking. So not acting out of impulse, but really considering from a place of wisdom and self-knowledge the actions that we are taking. And to stop and think about what we're going to do before we do it. Because Aries is an impulsive energy, and we can just have an impulse and have a desire and have a stimulant inside of us and have something inside of us that just wants to act. It is time where we can really ponder that and reflect on that before taking action. So a full moon is when the sun and moon are always exactly opposite each other. So more people get less sleep during a full moon because of its energy being so heightened. There's also more crime around the full moon. The full moon, it makes it brighter. And the full moons are times of endings, are times of things reaching the peak, that we're at the climax of this mountain and we can't seem to go any further up. That, we've gone as far as we can go, and it's time for the moon to wane back down to the full moon. So it's time for things come to a head, and the energy is less balanced and we feel more emotionally reactive during this time. So, and we must express our emotions. We must not hold in our emotions. So, it's important to give other people and yourself grace at this time. And, being kind and being patient and being empathetic and compassionate to others at this time. So, expressing your emotions from the inside out is something that the full moon really demands of you, that you don't keep those feelings in. So, this full moon is where we can express the classic me versus we balance. So, Aries is the me. Aries is what I want, what I desire, my goals, the life that I want to live. What do I want from this relationship? Aries is the me, the I am. And then Libra is the we. It is the harmonizing. It is, now that you're in your power, that you're strong within your sense of self, now how do we bring balance, and how do we relate to others and show diplomacy and cooperation and consideration and understanding and making things fair for other people and being in a divine union with others. So we're dealing with this balance of these energies during this time. Now, Aries, whenever we have the moon in Aries, we have a time for initiating brand new things. If there's something that you want to initiate, now is the time for fresh starts, because Aries is cardinal fire. Cardinal signs always occur at the beginning of every season. And so they bring about a time where we can initiate the new goals and new resolutions and new activities and new projects that we want because of this fresh spring energy. When the sun crosses over into Aries, it's a fresh spring. It's, we're bursting forth and all the flowers are coming out. And that's, that kind of energy that we're dealing with. So starting afresh. While we are ending things and things are coming to light during this full moon, we can also initiate new things. So Aries just wants a fresh start. It, loves that feeling of starting fresh and initiating new things. So the courage to say yes to life, to get out there, to be bold, to be daring, to be very forthright and very direct in your approach of what you want in your life. So, taking the bull by the horns, and having a lot of boldness and determination for you and what you want out of life, and going at it with gusto. And so this this moon in general, really invites us to take action. If there's something that we want changed, or if there's a negative habit pattern that we're wanting to break away from, or if there's something that we must let go that is not working for our authenticity anymore, or if there's something that we must initiate, now is the time to initiate it. And where we can look at where we haven't initiated it in the past. So we can take action towards that, and we can release stagnant energy, a procrastination of not taking action. Now is the time to take action and actually be about something and do something about it. So that's what this full moon invites us to do. So Aries can also be aggressive and brash and impulsive, so we also need to take action or take caution during this time, and we need to balance it out with Libra's cooperative and harmonious nature. So the other thing is we can look at healthy relationship dynamics. So this can be, any kind of people pleasing or codependency, or anywhere where we were, just allowing other people to trample over us, where we are losing our sense of self within our, personal relationships, of where we depend on another person to give us what we need and want, where we, manipulate them in some types of ways. So it can really bring to light unhealthy relationship dynamics that do not give us a sense of empowerment and do not make us feel a sense of personal truth. Impulsiveness, as much as we can, and we should follow our impulses and our desires. When is the right time to act? When is the right time to show our impulsivity? And when is the time where we need to think about our actions more clearly? And so where do we need to put ourselves first in our life? It's not selfish. It's not wrong to do this. It's not immoral to do this. But where do we need to prioritize our needs and wants? What we strive to create in our life. So where do we need to put ourselves first in a certain area of life? Now, the other thing on September 29th is that Mercury leaves shadow. It hits 21 degrees of Virgo, and then it moves on to cover the rest of the territory of Virgo. So when a planet moves through a sign, it has 29 degrees to move through a sign. And so Mercury stationed retrograde at 21 degrees of Virgo, and now it's going to leave 21 degrees of Virgo. So now we can officially move on from all of the lessons and themes and contemplations and deeper mental metacognitive work that we've been doing on ourselves during this Mercury retrograde season. So Mercury is going to move on from 21 degrees of Virgo on to cover degrees 22 through 29 before it enters Libra. Now, also, on September 29th, we have the final square between Venus and Uranus. This is a larger conversation between these two planets that has been taking place. It happened at the very beginning of July this year when Venus was moving direct, and it also happened on August 9th when Venus moved retrograde. And now it's going to happen again when Venus is moving direct. So Venus is in Leo, squaring Uranus in Taurus. So the square aspect invites us to change, invites us to look at what doesn't work anymore in our lives. And where is that tension and that resistance that the square brings, that, those difficulties and those challenges, where does it need us to break out of something, to let go of something, to change something? That's what the square asks us to do. It is going to be uncomfortable. It is going to feel very malefic and negative and uneasy. But that energy is there so that we can release what we need to. And Uranus is about freedom. It's about, revolution. It's about sudden change and sudden awakening. Like, we suddenly realize that this doesn't work anymore. And we suddenly realize, I want to liberate myself. I want to innovate something. I want to go on a brand new path just all of a sudden. I want to have this relationship that's actually going to work better for who I am and what I want in my life right now. So it is a sudden burst of truth of what we want and who we want to be, expressing our authentic individuality. That's what Uranus always seeks us to do, is to be our individual sovereign self, aside from societal expectations, aside from the expectations of the people in our lives. Uranus is about personal freedom. So, where do you need to have fresh air in your relationships? Opening up the blinds, opening up the windows in your relationships. Where do things need fresh air? Where do you need innovation and newness and novelty and spontaneity and new energy in your relationships? Maybe you could suddenly find new sources of pleasure and or creative interest that you thought, well, I never thought that I could like this as much as I do. I never thought that I was too into this thing, and now I'm suddenly into this. Whatever it may be, especially when it comes to what you value, clothes, food, all those kind of things like that. So maybe it's some kind of new interest or thing that you love that you never knew that you loved and appreciated before that you're finding in your life. So suddenly finding those things could be one way that this energy could show up. And maybe it could also be brand new values. Like, you had these set of values of things that you thought mattered to you in the past, and now you have brand new values of, now this becomes important to me. Now my health becomes important to me. Now, this relationship, I value these kind of relationships now. You may also feel like you want to fight back against anything conventional or anything traditional or the way that things have always been or certain conventional relationships. So You may desire unconventional relationships and values during this time. You want to break out of the mold. You want to see, well, how can I break out of this? How can I be free, within myself in this relationship? So, you may not want to engage in the status quo in the way that things have always been and the tradition, and this is how relationships must be. This is what you must feel find that is important to you, all Venus ruled themes. So you may feel the need to fight back in some way or another against certain people in your life, because you want personal freedom and you want liberation in your relationship. So where is there not enough freedom, not enough space in your relationships where you can be authentically yourself? And the other thing is it may be a good opportunity to explore new cultures, to meet people from different walks of life, meeting people from foreign lands, engaging with people, understanding their stories, and being open to them, sharing their experiences, and just, engaging with people, engaging with the world. And then on September 30th, the very, very last day of September, we have an aspect of Mercury in trine with Uranus. So what this aspect deals with is it's a great time for new technology, working with technology, maybe technological innovations, various types of innovations, because Uranus is the higher mind. It is the mind that is so focused on what humanity wants as a whole. So inventing new technologies, um, inventing new technological sources of income, or whatever it may be during this time. So it may also be new flashes of insight or new radical out of the blue realizations, like information, like, I want to do this, I want to communicate this, I want to learn this, I would rather interact with this person's not understanding what I'm saying, or I don't feel like this person's really listening to me. Like all these kind of things when it comes to communication and all of these kind of things. Like maybe you're learning something, but then maybe you have this narrative that you're telling yourself and these beliefs that you're telling yourself, but then Uranus comes along and it brings you this sudden realization of, actually, I can do this. I can lead with this new idea or this new habit pattern or this new mindset in my life. So, and these realizations just come all of a sudden, just come out of the blue. So, mind games or puzzles. So, this is great for anything that stimulates the mind. Anything, keeping the mind very stimulated during this time is important. So, mind games or puzzles would be great. In being original, awakening the genius or wizard within you, coming up with new ideas, innovation. This is great energy for that. This is great energy of how to use this energy is to be very inventive and being very creative and out of the box with new ideas, new innovations, as I said before, new, experimenting with new things, whether it be building a table or reading something or writing a book or, whatever it is. So, being original in your own quirky way and kinky way. And though there may be some unexpected conversations and information with regard to whatever house area that this Mercury trine Jupiter in your natal chart is occurring for you, or there just may be some unexpected news that may come to the forefront in the media, in the political landscape, on the mundane level, and in your personal life. So this is great for breaking tradition, breaking certain ideas and philosophies of how things have always been. And you may feel the strong desire to go against authority during this time. So If anyone is putting you in a box, telling you to do this or that, or you feel limited and restricted by authority, then this is where you can liberate yourself. That's that much more. So, because it's really addressing your Uranian needs. I was reading about this aspect and it was speaking about your Uranian needs, which are your needs for you to be an individual, to try new things, to be free, have the room to breathe, have the room for self-discovery and exploration. And so the question is, do you feel the freedom to speak your mind and truth, to learn what you want to? Or do you feel like someone is boxing you in? This is what you must do. This is what you must learn. And this is what you must say. And you can only say these kind of things. You can't speak your truth. You can't think what you want to. You can't have, you can't, you're not entitled to your opinion. You can't talk with this person. You can't interact with the person. Like, all these things may come to the forefront during this trine of Mercury and Uranus. And so getting in flow with the now, like using modern technology, and adding certain modern pieces of technology that you may have shied away from, or you may not know about, or you may not be too familiar with and tempted to use, adding those pieces of modern technology to your repertoire. This is also a great aspect to open your mind to learning new things, to having a curious mind where you're open to learning and open to gaining and seeing multiple perspectives, learning about the different perspectives, learning about all these global issues, about all these kind of things like that, and getting your mind into what is going on in the world, and gaining, information from multiple sources of info, and then, putting it into your mind and consciousness. So it's a wonderful learning aspect, and it's a wonderful aspect to see things from a higher view, to have healthy detachment, to really just see things from a higher perspective, and gaining clarity in that regard. So having a sense of, well, I want this, but then this other person wants that. And so I have these feelings, but let's just look at them objectively. Let's look at them logically or rationally. And then the downside of Mercury and Uranus, because trines bring about the positives of the two planets, but they also can bring about, they're also, it's not like the square where it's an energy of friction, where it can invite some change in the mix. Trines just let things hang out, both positive and negative. So thinking that, they're less intelligent than me, thinking that you're more intelligent and your mind works sharper and better than everyone else, and you're more open to learning and more curious than everybody else, that kind of thinking needs to be dismantled and released. So are you open to learning new perspectives and growing your mind and your sort of plate of information? That's really the question. So this is great for learning, growing, all of these types of things like that. All right. So that is the weekly astrology. And now I'm going to pull a card now for what we all need to remember, or something to think about, or how to approach this week. So what do we need to know about next week? So it says the card that I pulled is from the Shaman's Dream Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid. Let me just share my screen here. So it says the Hummingbird. So the description for this card is the essence. Despite being so little, hummingbirds are great journeyers, migrating between North and Central or South America to feed from the summer wreck nectar. This gentle creature can be fiercely territorial to protect its home. Hummingbird teaches us to be gentle to ourselves and protect our personal space. Hummingbirds invite you to embark on an epic quest, bypass the dung pile of old pain and hurts, head for the flowers, and learn to trust the calling you hear ever so softly. The invitation. The buzzing you feel is the sound of your hummingbird wings preparing you to say yes to a new adventure. This is not the time to linger on what has gone wrong, but to trust in the rightness of the moment and take bold action. Trust that success is assured, even if you must face tests and challenges to reach your destination. Know that all will be well because the all is in the small. And in the medicine, this mighty being comes to teach you stillness in motion and to trust your inner knowing that the sweetest nectar is assured. Failing to act when the moment is right can spoil your journey. If you feel your safety, comfort, or day-to-day survival are more important than saying yes to the invitation to explore the unknown, you will have to work much harder to achieve what is being offered to you freely now. Still your mind, even in the midst of your very hectic schedule, and heed the gentle voice that calls to you to test new wings. So it's about trying new things and looking to the opportunities of the now while not dwelling on the past. Because you can't do anything about the past. You can't change the past. What happened is what happened, and it's done. Your power lies in the now. So that is a little mini oracle reading for this week. There'll be a more official one next week. And bye for now, everybody.